Islamophobia. There's a nice liberal coined word that is absolutely useless, misleading, divisive, and deliberately polarizes us. I have a somewhat different perspective from many of my fellow Canadians. I've lived and worked in Muslim countries, both as a soldier and as a civilian. I've seen everything from the live and let live average Muslim to the radicals who made it quite clear they just as soon carve your heart out merely because you're not Muslim if they thought they could get away with it. So to lump all Muslims together is as stupid as lumping all Christians together, all Jews together. There are so many sects within, the primaries within the Muslim community, one knows Sunni, Shia, Wahhabi, but even within them, there are subsects. I dated a Muslim lady. She didn't like being called Iranian. She preferred being called Persian. And boy, did I get an earful about the so-called wonders of Islam and how protective they are towards women. Oh boy, if the average Canadian knew, the ones who are Muslims are our brothers, if they knew the misogyny and the violence and crimes perpetuated against women in those societies, uh, they'd be horrified. We don't hear about this a lot because women don't report it, because they stand a very good chance of being punished because for being raped or sexually assaulted or beaten. They would be punished. Yeah, nice, eh? Anyways, when I hear Islamophobia, I get seriously pissed off. It is not Islamophobic to voice valid critiques of Islam. It is not Islamophobic to voice valid concerns regarding their integration into Canadian society. It is not Islamophobic to request that they be properly vetted, that we not allow in the trash with the true refugees. And trash they are, trust me. The ones that come in here uh, pushing Sharia law, demanding, not asking, demanding that their cultural needs be met. Let us, by all means, meet the cultural demands of our Muslim brothers. Let them cut away young girls' clitorises so that they will never enjoy sexual pleasure and therefore become whores. Let us force all our women to cover themselves properly, Canadian women, so that it does not offend them. Let us obviously not eat pork because it offends them. Let us not be Canadian because it offends them. They are a small minority. Now, let's be fair. They are a small minority, but they are a vocal minority, and they are a fucking dangerous minority. Even conservative and, let's say, live and let live Muslims are silent. This bothers me, the Muslim community in Canada, that they are silent. But think about this for a moment. They are silent not because they approve of, let's say, ISIS and the radicals. They are silent because they have every bit as much to fear from them as we do. Who did ISIS kill mostly? Muslims, Iraqis, Iranians, Yazidis, Muslims who did not believe in their version of Islam. So, is the moderate Islamic community silent? Yes. Do I understand it? Yes. Do I approve of it? Absolutely not. Stand for something or you stand for nothing. They should issue a fatwa against radical Islam. If they had any balls, they would speak up and show their solidarity with Canadians and Canadian values. I am probably going to be called Islamophobic for this. Phobia is defined, as an unreasoning fear of. This is not a fear, it's a critique and it's an observation. I was at a Pegida rally. Now, Pegida Canada is not like Pegida Europe. When you see what the ladies are pushing, the agenda they're pushing, I'm solidly in line with that. They are not against Muslims. They are against radical Islam. They are against Sharia law. They are pro-Canadian values. When you come to this country, as my grandparents did as immigrants, as so many of the people I met who came here as immigrants, it is incumbent upon you to adapt to Canada. Canadian mores, Canadian values, Canadian belief systems. Worship as you will, gather as you will, keep your cultural heritage alive. Absolutely, Canada is a multicultural society. But it is a Canadian society. When I worked in Saudi Arabia, I adhered to their customs, to their mores, to their standards, because as a guest in their country, or even as a temporary resident, it was my duty to adhere to their customs and laws. You come to Canada, you adhere to Canadian customs and laws. It's not a request, it's a fucking demand. If you don't like it here, go away. No one was brought here in chains. No one was forced here against their will. Nobody put a gun to their head and said, you have to come to Canada. No. You made a choice. The choice you made, you are free to choose as you will. You are not free of the consequences of your choices. I read that. I liked it. So when I get on my high horse about Islam, I know what I'm speaking about. Better perhaps than some. When I was in my younger years, when I was examining different lifestyles, and I read like the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran in translation, different variants of the Bible. I've talked to fundamentalists, fundamentalist Christians, fundamentalist Muslims, Orthodox Jews, Jehovah's Witnesses. There's room here for all of that in my country. There is not room for parasites. Those are the ones I object to. The ones who have no intention of contributing to Canada, have no intention of becoming part of the Canadian mosaic, who have no intention of assimilating. They have come here merely to take and to, if possible, convert us to Islam. Sweden, there's a prime example of what happened with an excessively liberal government. Belgium, in maybe a generation or less, it's going to be a Muslim country. It won't be a European country anymore. We see the media and the liberal government deliberately obfuscating, deliberately lying, deliberately hiding the extent of Islamic involvement in acts of violence, in acts of sexual violence against women. That's being covered up by the media. It's not being reported on. Oh, we can't report this. We're afraid we will feed nationalist right-wing sentiment. My Canada, the Canadians that I know, espouse the Canadian values that I grew up with. Tolerance, fairness, acceptance, reasonableness, courtesy, manners. These were the things I grew up with. Most of my contemporaries espouse all of that. The media is being, and the government, totally culpable in this also, don't seem to realize that by, again, obfuscating this, by keeping this from the public, we can't make an informed decision. So people fear the unknown. It's a standard. People fear the unknown. If we knew them, we knew who our enemy was, we can confront our enemy. If we knew who our friends were, we know who to rally around. The government doesn't seem to get this, nor the media. Oh, we can't tell the people about this. We can't tell the people about the start of Muslim rape gangs. They're starting here. Look at Telford, England. Look at Rotherham, England. Look what happened when the politicians failed to act for fear of being labeled Islamophobic. If someone calls me an Islamophobe, I'll tell them straight to their face they're a fucking idiot. It has nothing to do with Islamophobia. It has to do with reason. It has to do with logic. And it has to do with fact. Nothing to do with xenophobia. I would ask that the media pull their head out of their ass and start letting the people know that, yes, we do have dangerous people coming into this country. People who do not mean us well. We have parasites coming into this country. And I use the term absolutely accurately. Look at what is a parasite? Something that attaches itself to a host, sucks up resources from that host, and contributes nothing to that host. Parasites. And the government is letting them in. There's been no proper vetting. There has been some idealistic bullshit about, well, we can reform them. Really? You think you'll reform them? They come here to recruit and try to radicalize more disaffected youth, Muslims, people out of position. When you're out of position, you're vulnerable to suggestion, you're vulnerable. You're looking for a cause, some place to hang your hat. I mean, in your personal life. And people jump on these causes without understanding the consequence. There are some who have seen the advantages of living in Canada, the beauty of Canada, and say, no, I don't want anything to do with this bullshit. And I've met those ones who have turned their back entirely on their people, sometimes on their families of necessity, because their beliefs, their attitudes, their hatreds, their propensity for violence is not something they wish to be involved in. You have to think, people have to think, have to wake up. Antifa is not our friend. At the Pegida rally, Antifa was out there in full force. Muslims are our brothers, holding up placards and banners calling us fascists and Nazis. No logic, no thought, no life experience. Why are they there? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what attracts them. Excuse me, the idea that maybe they can belong to something because their lives are so dull, empty, and boring that they want to jump on a cause and try to feel something good about themselves. I don't know. I haven't sat down and chatted with them. The one that got me was proud of the fact that he was very gay and very Jewish and anti-Pegida. Of course, he was there. At least he wasn't wearing a face mask. And I thought, explain the logic of this to me. You are asking us to accept the very people who would cut your throat and throw you off a building, and you would embrace them. Why are you asking Canadians to accept behavior in their country that you would not tolerate in your home? Would you tolerate someone in your home who demanded that you cook to their standards, who demanded you take portraits off the wall, family portraits, because human likenesses offend them and are against the Quran, who called your daughter or your wife a whore for the way they dressed because they showed too much skin by their standards? I don't know about you, but if someone came into my home and did that, they'd be out the door pretty damn quick. And yet Canada, which is home to all of us, we were asked to accept this behavior, or the government will label you Islamophobe. No, not in my Canada, not in my lifetime, not now, not ever. This is not my Canada. And the Liberal government does not speak to my Canada. They are traitors, as far as I'm concerned. And Trudeau, don't even get me going on Trudeau. So there's my little piece on Islamophobia and the lie that is Islamophobia. Do with that as you will. Canadian dinosaur, bye-bye.